Well, hello. It is John Pollock and Wei Ting, and this is Review a Raw.
Yes, it is.
Where we are going to review a show called Raw from Monday night in Hartford, Connecticut.
Yep.
Hartford.
Yeah, have you been?
Nope. Never been to Hartford, Connecticut, but Stephanie McMahon has.
She was born there.
Yes, the favorite daughter of Hartford. We're going to get right into things. Raw kicked off from Hartford with a graphic for the late Joni Lauer, who passed away, and we will discuss the focus on her passing. There's kind of different tiers of where they place people, and this was kind of the middle tier, I would guess, when it comes to someone of note that has passed away.
I would say maybe even a little higher than that.
I don't know.
Who's the highest you would consider?
I would classify like Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, okay.
You know, when they bring everyone out for the 10-bell salute,
right.
It's a big part of the show.
Sure.
It was there.
Yeah.
It was more than just a graphic.
Yeah.
And it was more than Balls Mahoney a week ago. So
Yep.
I classify that as a middle tier.
Okay.
They announced right off the bat tonight we were going to have AJ Styles against Sheamus and Roman Reigns against Alberto Del Rio. And I don't know what it was, Way, but just seeing the graphics of AJ Styles and Sheamus, I'm like, here are two really different styles, for lack of a better term. And I'm interested to see this match. I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but I'm intrigued by this. It's like if you were playing the WWE video game and you pick random opponent and it lands on Sheamus. I'm like, what a weird match.
Yeah, okay. That's a good way to look at it.
Shane McMahon came out. We are now at the point where there's not even the customary Monday afternoon tweet. He's just here.
Yeah.
So he comes out with his new kicks and just says he's still here because of the fans and calls Payback the first pay-per-view of the new era. What an era this has been. Can you imagine if the Iron Sheik had beat Hulk Hogan and then Hulk Hogan just started off Hulkamania after the loss and just said he was champion because he said so?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
Mike Tyson knocked out Steve Austin cold, and that's how WrestleMania ended, and the next night, the Austin era has begun.
Yeah. I mean, certainly I feel like it's our task to call them out when they've completely just not respected their own booking. I think at this point they just don't care. They're just going to run with it, and, let's forget WrestleMania ever happened.
We were talking about it Sunday, and when you go up and down that card of WrestleMania, to me, the Roman Reigns title win is the only thing of consequence that came out of WrestleMania. The only thing that has had an impact beyond that one night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like the results.
What else is there that happened that was...
Jericho beat Styles.
Yeah.
I mean, Styles was... he was a 180 the next night.
Right.
Zack Ryder won the IC title.
Mm-hmm.
We had...
the Divas. But, yeah, there's
the Divas, you're right. I mean, but it was a match, I would say. But and that was one of the high points. Maybe the high point of WrestleMania was the women's match. So I would include that in there, too. Mm-hmm. So Shane is out and then gets interrupted by the returning Stephanie McMahon, who's back. Her first appearance since WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. She comes out and she puts over Hartford as the people being tough and savvy, and they're used to politicians that just lie to their faces, and says she was born in this city, and says this is Shane's last night running Raw, and this drew a lot of boos from the audience. She says this Sunday at Payback, Vince McMahon is going to decide who will run Raw.
What does that mean?
It means nothing to me because it doesn't matter what. That was the whole hook of WrestleMania. Is
she teasing that Vince is going to be at Payback?
She flat out said it, and they had the graphic later. Vince will be there to decide who runs Raw.
Okay.
Should this be any kind of a decision on Vince's part? What should the...
Well, I mean, I think perhaps you'll finally... I don't think they're going to end this Shane McMahon experiment anytime soon. I think the response has been positive despite the poor booking. And I think you'll probably get an official announcement that Shane will indeed permanently take over Raw.
Maybe he'll bring out that shattered photo and just glued it back together. And we'll just have to forget those words after WrestleMania. I won't have a son.
No.
Now he does. Mm-hmm. This will be my worst storyline of 2016. The crowd is very much into Shane here. They were just booing Stephanie, chanting Shane O'Mac, and Shane is just putting his hand above Stephanie. They'd boo. He'd put it above his. They'd cheer. And he just went back and forth, and I did find this amusing.
That was cute. Yes.
It was. And Stephanie refuses to leave her ring, so Shane calls on the indie security, who comes out, and security is instructed by Stephanie not to touch her. And one of the guys puts his hand on her back, and he suffered the Stephanie McMahon slap of death.
A slap of death. Oh my God. Slap of some type of wizardry, because this dude, whatever indie guy this was, he just, some weird physics were going on in the way he was selling this thing. He would he was like being bounced around in 360. He almost did like a flip, and he was just like cowering, like these were Brock Lesnar punches.
Was it Tom Phillips who went off the air and we thought had been killed by Stephanie? Remember when she just slapped him to death?
Yes.
That's what we got here. And then the crowd sang goodbye. And that was it for Stephanie tonight. So presumably she will be part of that segment at Payback. Each and every week, it's your chance to win a t-shirt from ProWrestlingTees.com. Simply answer the trivia question and tweet @LawRadio for your chance to win each and every Thursday. AJ Styles and Sheamus. I won't classify this as a dream match, but it was a unique match. Sheamus kicked him out of the corner to the point they replayed this because it looked like he just gave Styles everything, getting his boots up and just knocking the wind out of AJ. And Styles came back hitting an average forearm that sent Sheamus to the floor. Not a finish. And then AJ hit a moonsault off the apron, landing on his feet, and then thrown into the steps. They went through a commercial. Sheamus had the heat for a long time, was working on his back, applied a bear hug. Styles hit a sunset flip powerbomb off the turnbuckle. Little reaction to this. And then Styles hit a running forearm to a seated Sheamus, a flying forearm in the corner, lands a Pele kick. And then as Styles is on the outside of the apron, Sheamus goes for a brogue kick, missing and getting his leg caught in the ropes. And Styles catches him and sends him into the ring and hits the phenomenal forearm. He powered up and hit his move and pinned Sheamus clean.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You had some higher expectations for this match, didn't you?
I don't even know what it was, but I was at the beginning of this. I'm like, okay, I'm interested to see what happens here in this match. Right. And it was it was not phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought it was a little dull, perhaps a little too long. But you know,
that might have been the story of most matches on Raw tonight. It was a lot of long matches and less matches than a typical Raw.
Yeah.
So AJ won. So I mean, the finishes I had no real issue with on this show.
Booking was totally strong.
Very straightforward. Yeah. Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows then came out on the ramp, and they cut to Roman Reigns, who was watching this on the locker room. And he was able to channel Triple H and Stephanie from Backlash 2001 because what he was watching on the screen was not what we were watching on the screen. It was really weird.
He had a private feed for that specific camera.
He had his own satellite
closed
feed.
Circuit, yeah.
And that's what you get as the champion. You get that upgrade. And that's why you can have that's why a guy can just show up out of nowhere. You get all these powers, like your feed, your music is always on cue if you want to do a run-in.
I'm just trying to think of, their production and how we've seen the same cliche of a guy in a dressing room angled like this, looking at a TV, like I'm watching a TV like this. Who watches TV like that? I mean,
you and I should do a show one time as if Kevin Dunn directed it, so I'll never look at you. And we'll have words that we ban.
But I just I feel like in the 15, 20 years that we've had that style of television, they would have come up another way to draw an association between two characters talking backstage than simply watching somebody on a TV screen. But I don't think their TVs really evolved that much.
I saw the funniest thing the other day on a website, and I'm a total nerd for noticing this, but I was on some website, like non-WWE website. I think it was just some sports news site or whatever, and it had just an ad for WWE Shop, like a clickable banner, and promoting their replica belts, saying, get your own replica belt now. And me just being OCD, realizing they called it belt. And I click on it, and it goes to the page on WWE Shop where belt is nowhere to be found, but this banner slipped through the cracks referring to it as a belt.
You would be a great quality control officer at the WWE, I think, John.
I think I'd be great.
Yeah.
Yes. So from there, that was it, really. It was Reigns just watching them backstage when the Usos showed up to Roman, and they had the most unnatural conversation in the history of cousins. The Usos said that they have his back, and the crowd is chanting, "We can't hear you," while they have this very prepared dialogue. And they say to Roman, sometimes the one needs help from the all in one versus all. So Roman replies, Robot Reigns says, sometimes the all needs help from the one. Oh.
I didn't think any.
This one bashed his head into all hard devices in front of him.
Oh my god! See, I didn't think much of it with just watching it, but hearing you repeat it is really funny.
Bro, sometimes the one need help from the all. Well, sometimes the all need help from the one. These are just machines that are like just things are coming out of their mouth that you have to put in an order that makes sense somehow.
Though if I did have an actual conversation like that, something that witty with my own cousins, I would probably like high five them right after. Like, oh, we came up with that.
No, you wouldn't. You would slap your cousin probably and be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Are you trying to help me here? I'm good. The New Day come out and they state that the winners of the tag tournament are going to party like it's 1999 in the Lone Prince tribute we got on this show. And that, to me, is the New Day in a nutshell. They have a connection to pop culture that is so void on this program from any other characters.
Yeah.
They seem like the only ones that if I had a friend over that never watched wrestling, it's like, here are people that talk about things that happen in the real world.
They certainly have a connection to, you know, the more hipper and younger demographics that I would say some of the producers of the show don't.
So they're out, and now it appears that the tag finals are still happening at Payback, but it looks like the title shot will happen afterwards.
Yeah.
Originally, we were under the impression it would happen that night.
Well,
but
I think it's good.
There's no need to rush it,
Yeah.
and you'll probably have the New Day involved in some form. And the next pay-per-view is only 3 weeks later. It's
Yeah.
not a big wait.
And also keep in mind, like, you do have a lot more life in the tag team division right now, but how many people are you going to get to challenge for these titles? Why burn through them so quickly?
And you now have the added Vince McMahon segment that probably can cut out that match. The Vaudevillains come out, and Aiden English does his old singing gimmick that he was doing in NXT, and singing as though they're going to party like it's 1899, because their gimmick now is that they are actually from 2 prior centuries.
Pretty funny. Yeah.
They represent values and the standards of a bygone era that they will bring back to the WWE. So for all those people who are clamoring for the WWE to be more like that 99 glory period, they have other thoughts of a different 99 period. They get interrupted by Enzo and Big Cass. They do their intro.
So why don't they wrestle like it's like a 1900 style?
I mean, they kind of do some throwback stuff, but I mean, it's not
I don't really know how to. I mean, who would be training them?
Well, maybe they'll do.
And how many people would get the reference? I suppose
it's a very tough gimmick to pull off, and I don't think it's all that much of necessarily a winner to begin with. Right. They're going to have their struggles, I think, over the long term. We'll see. Enzo is out. He says they keep it 100 like a high fever, which isn't that high of a fever, really. Not to nitpick,
100 Fahrenheit?
100 Celsius. No, 100 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Yes, 100 Fahrenheit.
100 Celsius, I think you'd be dead.
Yeah, you would be. What would that be?
high.
37 point.
I don't know.
Anyway, he says they want to be champions, and but he also wants to run down Long Beaches into his own arms, but that's impossible, just like the Vaudevillains' chances of winning on Sunday.
Yeah, he said this line, and I thought half the room was confused, but the other half simply loved it. And I think this type of line didn't feel like it was written by the same people who wrote that previous Usos and Roman Reigns segment. This felt like something a bit more organic and something that I feel like this guy probably came up with himself.
Wood says you can cut the tension with a knife, but they will still remain champions no matter who wins this match on Sunday. And that was it. Catch all of our podcasts daily up at FightNetwork.com. You can also subscribe to Live Audio Wrestling on iTunes and listen through the free Stitcher app. Anderson and Gallows are shown walking out of AJ Styles' locker room. And then they showed John Cena's tweet from earlier today promoting his return, which is set for May the 30th, Memorial Day, on Raw in Green Bay. Curious that they're bringing him in on a holiday Monday where maybe they believe viewership will be lower. But to me, that's a weird Monday to bring him back.
Traditionally, is that a bad...
It's usually a bit lower on a holiday Monday, just because some people do have lives on a holiday Monday to go out. But John Cena will be back May 30th, so they're going to push his return for a month, which that's good.
It's an easy date for people to remember.
What do you anticipate John Cena's role being when he returns?
It's interesting because, you have Roman Reigns, who has essentially kind of fulfilled that, role of a babyface who gets booed by most audiences. And so I think John Cena is sort of sorely needed in the main event picture right now, but I wouldn't do that Reigns match right away. I would kind of put him in the upper mid card, maybe pair him with maybe somebody like a Jericho to start, or even an Owens following this feud.
What do you imagine being if Roman Reigns is champion by SummerSlam? What would the SummerSlam program be? What jumps out at you?
I think you could do.
I guess it depends on some returns. I would say Rollins. I think you would anticipate he would be back before SummerSlam.
You can also expect a Brock return for that. I'd be curious to know what role Cena would have, because that might be a match you could make. Yeah.
The Usos took on Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Jay's left shoulder is still taped up. Michael Cole, this was the best line of the entire night. He said that Anderson and Gallows formed a friendship with AJ in Japan. They were in a club there. Like an after-school club.
Yeah, or a strip club.
The bell rung. Luke did not revert back into Festus. And then they knocked down Karl. Jay then got all these chops in and then got cut off with a drop kick. The Usos hit these running strikes to Gallows in the corner, and Gallows hit a big lariat to Jay. The crowd is chanting Bullet Club. Karl comes in, and they start working the left arm of Jay, and they got the heat on him for a long time. Jay is on the turnbuckle, shoves Karl down, and then Gallows shoves him off to the floor as they go to a break. The tag is made afterwards. Jimmy comes in. Gallows is on the floor. He goes for a dive, gets cut off with a clothesline. Gallows then attacks Jay on the floor, sends him over the barricade, and Jimmy hits a tope to Gallows on the floor, but then Jimmy is thrown into the post. Big boot to Jimmy, and then in the ring, they hit the Magic Killer to Jimmy, and Karl pins him. And JBL says that they may be the best tag team in the world. Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows.
I thought a very good debut from these two, and a great job from the announcers getting these two over. I felt like they worked really hard, putting over their credentials, putting over New Japan, to unexpected degree, this commentary team. So I think this was a very good segment overall.
Yeah, they've taken select portions of New Japan's stories and applied it like they were these brothers, and they've just ignored them turning on AJ on his last night and murdering him in the ring.
Yeah.
So
as they should.
Well, I know, of course. It's it's so funny to see how much they've ignored. Like a year ago.
Oh, man.
They wouldn't ever mention their alliance in another promotion.
Though in 2001, we did get a New Japan mention at Backlash.
That's true. That's true. Coming up in the dojo.
Yep.
Yes. So you can tune in for that this Wednesday to find out who was the New Japan dojo trainee.
Yeah.
Was it Shane McMahon? Was it Test? Was it X Factor? Or was it someone else?
Who was it? I forget. Whatever.
Don't you remember? Big Show. No, it was not Big Show either. Leave a mystery away for people to tune in. So afterwards, there's a post-match attack on the Usos, and Reigns runs down, attacks both, and clears the ring. And we then go to Renee with AJ Styles backstage, and he's discussing his preparation for Payback. When Gallows and Anderson walk in, they have recovered from this beatdown and said that they did not start a fight with Roman Reigns tonight. They're not going to jeopardize his chance this Sunday, and they just want it to be a fair fight between Styles and Reigns, and they say their friendship is forever.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of the new gear that they have?
Oh, it looks nice. I like it's not all of a departure from their... I mean, they came out in the kind of robes back in New Japan, so... They look nice. They look like a professional tag team with some nice professional gear.
It looks like something that they would have worn in the Bullet Club without actually being called the Bullet Club. So
Yes.
they're definitely throwing those hints.
The club way.
The club.
The
They're
club.
just the club, yeah.
Bullet has been banned.
The hair club.
There was a feature on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Cole says that they will be facing off at Payback for the very first time in WWE pay-per-view history, which is a hell of a fucking qualifier.
Yeah.
Which is not even true if you're ignoring WrestleMania.
I guess in a one-on-one setting, yeah.
For the very first time in WWE pay-per-view history in a singles environment.
Got it. In May.
Which, if this is a pay-per-view, then the NXT specials are as much of a pay-per-view, really.
Yeah.
Though I guess you can technically buy Payback.
Yeah.
This was just a hell of a stretch to give this match some kind of identity
Sure.
because the video did more than enough to give you a reason to. So they had sit-downs with both Zayn and Owens. It starts with Zayn's appearance at the Rumble, and they give the whole backstory, how these two met each other at a wrestling show. They traveled together. They showed Zayn winning the NXT title from Neville and then immediately attacked by Owens after the match, his best friend. Owens said how it bothered him that Zayn was signed before him, but then when Zayn was in the hospital, Owens was the one who got to Raw, and Owens says that in all of this, it's Zayn who made it personal. He's the victim. Great line. And it ends with the two of them in better times with their arm around one another and Kevin Owens wearing a PWG Battle of Los Angeles t-shirt.
Oh, my. Wow.
Yes.
Didn't notice
So, man,
that.
New Japan and PWG represented on Raw Monday night.
Very cool. I thought
this was great.
Yeah. This video was long overdue. From the moment Zayn got in, I think they really needed something like this to kind of help explain his story to the audience who hadn't been following him this whole time in NXT. And I thought, now with the benefit of even more footage they have of these two fighting each other on the main roster, I thought it was all used very effectively here. They told a great story in the short time that they had, and it achieved what it needed to, and that's helped get the audience up to speed, caught up on their full history, so now you can join in on what's currently going on and feel like you haven't missed anything.
In the 2 months or so since Sami Zayn has been on the main roster, I think this video did more for him than anything else.
And whoever produced it, I hope they receive a personal thank you from Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, because you're absolutely right. Like, these video packages they go such a long way in helping a character.
This Wednesday on Review Away, we are taking a look back at WWF Backlash from April of 2001, featuring the two-man power trip of Steve Austin and Triple H taking on The Undertaker and Kane, an ultimate submission match, a Duchess of Queensberry match, and much more. It's WWF Backlash on Review Away, Wednesday at liveaudiowrestling.com. Sami Zayn took on Rusev, accompanied by Lana, and it started off with a head scissors delivered by Sami, and then Michael Cole brought up Samoa Joe, winning the NXT title in Lowell, Massachusetts last week, which was at a live event, not a television taping, nothing that was supposed to air later. And of course, what were the complaints I got Thursday night when I posted this?
Spoilers.
Thanks a lot.
Come on. They spoiled it right here.
This was a live event.
Yeah.
This was as much of a spoiler as announcing the final score of a baseball game after it ended.
It's so silly. Very silly.
Like, if this were a TV taping, I would at least customize it to not give something away. This is a live event. This title change was geared for that audience in that building for that moment.
And
Don't get on me on these stupid debates.
You could argue that it was even geared for the audience at large, watching at home, because they certainly didn't try to hide it. They announced it on their own.
They put the video of the finish up.
Yeah,
They wanted as many people to know about this on Thursday night.
Exactly, and in fact, they promoted it for this Wednesday, so you'll get to see. I'm assuming the whole match on Wednesday on NXT.
I would think you should show the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great idea every now and then to do something big on a house show.
Yep.
And drive people to go to the house show.
Yeah, exactly. And the quality, I'm assuming they only had one or two cameras there ringside, so I'm assuming the quality won't be as good as a typical taping when you're watching this match, but who cares? I remember vividly when Bob Backlund beat Kevin Nash for the championship.
Yep.
That was at an MSG house show. The footage looked like crap, but it was significant nonetheless, and kind of made it look kind of cool. The curtain call was shot on a handy cam by some dude in the crowd, and it's a significant event that you want to see, not necessarily for some things like that. I think it was a really good idea what they did.
The match continues here. There was a pescado by Zayn, and Rusev caught him, dropped Zayn on the edge of the apron, and then Zayn landed on the barricade and hit a moonsault to Rusev, who was standing up on the floor. Rusev then landed a kick, and Zayn fell down to the floor as they went through a break. Rusev was beating him down, hit a pair of gut-wrench suplexes, and then Zayn came back with a clothesline as Rusev looked stunned by this. There was a high cross by Zayn, Rusev with a fall-away slam, and he sets him up for the accolade. Zayn is fighting it and ends up rolling up and getting the pinfall on Rusev out of nowhere, and Lana was so upset, she took off her shoes and whipped them at poor Rusev.
For heels.
She was, the heel threw her heels at Zayn with the same aim as Nikolai on Countdown last week. Just horrible aim. Didn't come close to hitting Zayn at close range.
I don't even remember what you're talking about.
Countdown. We just reviewed it, Way. Come on. In the backyard scene.
Yeah, I forgot. I thought the match was okay.
Tonight's show was the League of Nations getting baby faces ready for Payback.
Right.
They all lost.
Yeah, and that all made sense. But for some reason, I don't know. Maybe I personally didn't have as much energy this week as last, but I certainly felt the quality of the matches drop from last week.
This was also not a very. This was a crowd that I think largely was kind of. This is almost every week though. Crowds that are just kind of.
Crowd was good though for like the opening segment and for even the main event. I'd say for a lot of things.
They had their moments, but I mean we're talking about probably 10 minutes out of 190. So.
Well.
I mean, I just kind of get used to this. I don't even think it's on the crowd as much as it's the format of this show. It's a long 3 hours, and it's the same amount of time every week.
Going back to NXT, did you expect Finn Balor to show up?
No, I did not. I don't think he's going to be coming up. I think that the tapings are happening this week, so I think you'll get a sense. To me, it makes sense that you would want to do the rematch at the next TakeOver special with Balor next month. He should lose that, and then at that point, you could maybe look at him going up to the main roster. But I didn't think that now made a whole lot of sense.
So what do you think was the idea behind him telling the fans backstage in that cell phone video that he was going to be there?
For that exact reason, just to get people guessing. I think I think they like having all that speculation out there. Just play with people. They also, I mean, during the match, we haven't seen the whole match, but there was some spot in there where it looked like he did something that could be an injury angle that they could write him off with as well. So we'll find out. I mean, that spot was there. It seemed like it was, he worked the next 2 nights, so it wasn't like something that was seemed legitimate. So that could also be something they play up on Thursday, where maybe he disappears or something. You can check out The Law's YouTube channel at youtube.com/liveaudiowrestling. Subscribe for all of your free videos, including Ask Away, interviews, and much more. Anyway, we go to backstage first with Apollo Crews, who is asked, what's special about you? Pretty much the question. What stands out about you? There's so many people here on Raw. And he gets interrupted by Stardust, and Apollo calls him Cody and mentions working with his dad and how Dusty changed his life and came up with his name, Apollo.
Named him, yeah.
This sounds very weird on the wrestling show that you're just fully saying, like, this isn't my real name. This is a made-up name.
Yeah.
I'm really a different name.
Yeah.
So... he says, Stardust says, not even the great Dusty Rhodes can make you a star.
Yeah.
So now he's got the endorsement of Dusty Rhodes. That is as much we know about Apollo Crews.
I think it's a start. It's more than we've known of this guy in the month that he's been around. I think it's good that he was able to throw some backstory into this little time on his promo. And, it's a start.
There was another Titus spot to finish smoking. I don't know how they came up with these spots. Like, they're so wacky.
They're so bad.
Dolph is doing a comedy set, and before he can get to the punchline, Titus gets up and finishes it for him. And this is to translate into It doesn't matter how you finish it. End smoking.
Yeah. It reminds me of the, you saw Edge and Christian last week, right?
Yes.
Did you see the hot tag? Did
Yes.
you see that segment?
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of that, where like Edge and Christian like are trying to sell this service they have called the hot tag, where they'll come in and finish things for you. And one of the bits was some dude is sleeping with his wife, and then Christian gets the hot tag, and he jumps into the bed to finish it.
Yeah.
And that's something maybe they could do for next week for Titus.
Oh, okay.
And this anti-smoking ad.
Doesn't matter how you finish it. Stardust and Apollo Crews. This one finished quick. Stardust blocked a vertical suplex and sent Crews into the ropes, hit a spinning neck breaker, stomps delivered to Crews. He was even channeling Demetrius Johnson with some knees to the body of Apollo, but Apollo stood tall. Crews fired back, hit a big splash in the corner, flying reverse elbow, kip up, standing moonsault, and then the spinning sit-out powerbomb for the win in 3 minutes and 8 seconds.
I thought this was a better match for Crews on Raw than his last two appearances. It was faster and flashier than usual. And, you know, I think at this point, it's time that we learn more about the character and hopefully get him ready for a match at the next pay-per-view.
The theme song for Payback Way is your favorite, Andy Black, and We Don't Have to Dance.
Great, yes.
You don't.
Okay, I won't.
Dean Ambrose comes out and says there will be no Ambrose Asylum tonight. There were no groans or boos from the audience about this.
I hope we don't get any more, period.
He says no talk shows coming up this Sunday, and he cuts a promo on Chris Jericho and that he's going to show Jericho what he does this Sunday. Chris Jericho came out, and in the greatest cutaway ever on Raw, they cut to a dude whose sign read, Y2J, where's his shirt? And he had no shirt on, just the scarf.
Yeah.
And Jericho comes in and calls Dean disrespectful and a stupid idiot. And he won't fight him in a dump like this in Hartford. And he's going to give him the match of his career this Sunday. And just being in the ring puts Dean at a different level and tells him to get on his knees and kiss his $1,500 boots. And he breaks it down, $750 a boot. I thought a Canadian joke was coming here, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
He demands an apology, and then Dean apologizes that Chris paid so much for his ugly-ass shoes. He's sorry he wears a scarf. He's sorry he has a Bon Jovi haircut, and he's sorry he has to beat him Sunday, but not sorry for this. And he attacks Chris Jericho, and they brawl to the floor, and Ambrose is on the announce desk when Jericho pulls out his leg and goes to put on the walls of Jericho. And Jericho, I guess it was a half moon for the crowd in Hartford here.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I guess after the smoking phenomenon is gone, they'll tackle crack, these programming issues.
Should have invested in a belt instead of those shoes.
So yeah, he put them all on the leather on his feet. So anyway, put him in the walls of Jericho, and that ended the segment.
Yeah. I mean, I think both these guys are obviously tremendous performers, but I think I've been disappointed in the feud overall. I just think there's been a bit too much silliness. All this stuff. I mean, the feud is essentially about
The talk
Dean
show
Ambrose
being canceled.
stealing Chris Jericho's talk show. That's the feud. And when you think of it about people as talented as Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho on the mic, that's the last type of feud I would write these two in. So that said, I thought tonight's segment was probably the best I've seen in the month of these guys doing this on Raw. And, you know, they ditched all the props, ditched all the TV sets, and just displayed their ability to speak on the microphone and some physicality, and I thought it was good. So I'm still looking forward to the match.
This Sunday night on Live Audio Wrestling, it will be a full review of WWE Payback immediately after that show concludes. Plus, we will be joined by the voice of Ring of Honor, Kevin Kelly, and Dave Meltzer. It's The Law, Sunday night at 11 p.m. Eastern. Listen on TSN 1050 Toronto, TSN 1410 Vancouver, and at liveaudiowrestling.com.
Charlotte comes out for the Natalya-Emma match and joins the commentary team. It seems like that Emma-Becky Lynch program was just There was no mention of it on Raw tonight. I thought that would end up on maybe the pre-show.
I don't remember any of that.
They had set this up on TV.
Last week?
No, at least 2 weeks ago.
I don't remember that.
Oh. Emma trips Natalya on the edge of the apron and hits an underhook suplex on the floor. The crowd is chanting for Sasha. There was no Sasha. Emma's in control, clotheslines Natalya, and then pulls her up, and Natalya just drops her and applies the sharpshooter, and 2:16, it's over.
Very quick match. I mean, perhaps they just didn't have that much time to devote to this. I figured we'd maybe get something of Brett coming out here, but I guess they're saving that, But I thought we'd get some type of video or promo or just some type of thing from Bret Hart. You know what I mean? We just got a graphic, maybe a podcast.
Oh. Can imagine. I can't wait till he reviews Payback. Oh, that would have been a great promo. He comes out and says, "We might be in Chicago. Well, this here is Bret Hartford."
Oh my God!
This was the city to have him come out in, if there ever was one.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, Charlotte, I thought, was also kind of had the role to do some improvisation on commentary here, and I don't think she really seemed that comfortable and didn't really accomplish much.
Okay, the awkwardness for me was at the end because Cole's got this serious look on his face. I knew what was coming next. Yeah. And the announcers are looking off, and Charlotte's still engaging in banter here, and they were trying to end it because we're trying to get to something serious here. Mm-hmm. And it was just very she wasn't even on camera, and you could still hear her getting her lines in. Right. And then Michael Cole's got to just give a serious look and note the passing of Chyna, and they went to a video for her career highlights, which was just different moments in her career mixed in with tweets from a lot of notable stars: The Rock, Austin, Trish, Stephanie, and Triple H in there as well. And that was it. That was kind of the handling of Chyna. Were you satisfied with what they did on this show for her?
I was. Yeah, I thought so. I mean, I wasn't expecting a 10-bell salute. Nothing like that. To be honest, I wasn't even necessarily expecting the video.
This was exactly what I anticipated. Right. I thought we would get the graphic and the video somewhere deep in the show.
The video was able to highlight, all her best moments. They even showed some of her feud with Eddie and, her title wins, and I thought it was, appropriate. I think a lot of people might take issue with tweets from certain members of the company.
It was weird.
It's a company made video.
I also very much got the sense that on this show, just the way she was, because I thought it could have been one of two ways, and I thought this would be how it was. But I mean, I think if they really pushed it hard of this pioneer in the women's division, you would get the sense that maybe they would put her in the Hall of Fame next year. I thought after tonight there's...
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
And why? What about tonight?
They did not... I didn't get the sense on this show with this passing. Mm-hmm. To me, it wasn't... She was not presented to me as a major star. And she really was for a period of time.
I wouldn't say so. I mean...
This was a 2-minute video
When
package.
Savage passed, I think he got a similar treatment. He didn't get anything beyond something like this.
Savage was... I mean, it's always possible they could. I just... Watching this show, I very much got the sense that we will probably never hear the name Chyna again on WWE programming. But we'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong. They plug Camp WWE's debut, which will be available on demand. It's a 5-episode season, available after Payback goes off the air on the WWE Network this weekend. Damien Sandow is in the ring. Appeared to get quite a reaction during the commercial break. And then they announced Ziggler will take on Baron Corbin at Payback. And as Corbin comes out, Ziggler attacks him. They fight on the ramp, and Corbin retreats. And that was Damien Sandow's quarterly appearance on Raw.
I was quite happy this late into the show. I wasn't really looking forward to this match. So.
Another Cologne spot. They picked up some women. And then the Miz and Maurice were in the ring. Miz says that he is used to being criticized by trolls and internet tough guys. Maurice says they are hungry for the Miz's knowledge, and Miz gives Maurice this look saying he's hungry for her. And then Miz says that this is more than a title. It is legendary. He mocks the Cesaro section sign, saying that doesn't make the people special or rebellious. They are mindless wanderers. And he brings prestige and celebrity to this title, calls them nerds and internet trolls who prop up Cesaro, and he points at Maurice, saying this is what the Miz section looks like. So Cesaro comes out with his new entrance. He's not just in the suit, but now he walks along the ramp with the James Bond opening.
He's had this since
Has he done this before?
Yeah, he's had this since he came back, yeah.
I have never noticed it before tonight.
That's the whole, he's doing a James Bond gimmick.
I never noticed the graphic behind him, though.
Yeah.
With, like, the target.
It's kind of, he has to kind of walk in time with...
He's been doing this every week?
Yeah.
I swear to God, I've never noticed it.
Yeah.
I'd only noticed him come out with the suit.
He did upgrade the suit this week. It's a finer fitting suit this week. It's not a tearaway suit. And he also...
No, you don't know. You just didn't take it off.
I didn't notice the Velcro seams in the back, so I'm only assuming that it's not a tearaway suit, but it looks a little better. He ditched those god-awful skiing glasses, snowboarding glasses, whatever sunglasses he had, and he got some nicer looking sunglasses. So an upgrade for Cesaro.
Well, he comes out. He says the people are too educated to fall for the Miz's words. So then they traded movie quotes. We started with Robert De Niro into Joe Pesci. And when he says... Cesaro says he belongs in one movie, and it's Jackass. And he will make sure that the credits roll on The Miz as IC champion this Sunday.
I'm just laughing at you having to repeat these lines.
The first delivery was no better.
For the purpose of this review, that's why I find this funny.
The Miz then says, "Do you feel lucky, punk?" And then I was done after this. Cesaro says, straight-faced, "Go ahead, make my day." They made my night. Oh, this was cringeworthy bad.
It's so unnatural to hear somebody like Cesaro say these lines. Like, it's so weird. I don't know what they're doing with this.
It's like, I'm fine with Miz doing it. Like, the Miz is supposed to be the geek here in the equation, but Cesaro is like, no, I understand. I can outdo this.
Yeah. So that's a little weird. That said, I think The Miz has been doing some of the best work he's been doing in 5 years. He really is demonstrating some great charisma. And Cesaro, it's awkward, in my opinion, for him to do all this, but it's getting him on TV, and he's getting a good reaction doing all this, so I can't hate it.
Miz goes to leave and then runs at Cesaro, gets pressed in the air, and takes the uppercut. His shades are on. He goes for the Cesaro swing, but Maurice dives on top of him to stop it, and they'll probably save that for Sunday. Reigns is walking backstage. Styles walks up, stares at him without saying any words for an uncomfortable amount of time, turns his hat backwards, and says he's taking the title at Payback. This was necessary of a confrontation. Kalisto and Ryback, they will be on the pre-show again. That'll teach Ryback not to complain about being on the pre-show at WrestleMania, I guess. Roman Reigns and Alberto Del Rio was your main event. A Roman sucks chant. Del Rio hit a drop kick, was in control of the match. Reigns came back with headbutts, dropped him with a DDT. Sorry, he got dropped with a DDT. And then Del Rio missed with a super kick. Reigns made a comeback with some clotheslines, and then Del Rio bailed to the floor to avoid a Superman punch. So Reigns came onto the floor and hit this running drop kick that sent Del Rio headfirst into the post. Then Del Rio kicked the rope, hitting Roman low. Roman's in the Tree of Woe, and Del Rio goes off the top and misses Reigns. It's just, I don't know how he missed this, but it was like...
I think the idea was for Reigns to kind of crunch up and then, let go, flatten.
I don't know how the timing of this
It looked
went.
weird, yeah. Didn't look right.
Anderson and Gallows come out, and they do the tease with Del Rio rolling him up for the distraction, but Reigns kicks out at 2. Then Roman ducks a shot off the turnbuckle, spears Del Rio, and gets the pinfall. Anderson and Gallows then charge the ring, attacking Reigns. Styles runs down to stop Anderson and Gallows, turns around and gets hit with a Superman punch, and the fans boo Roman for doing this. Reigns then fights off Anderson and Gallows, and then he gets hit with the phenomenal forearm, and that's how it ends, with Reigns and Styles laying in the ring.
I thought really good stuff here. I've enjoyed this Reigns and AJ build. I think the inclusion of Gallows and Anderson have added really an interesting dynamic to the match, and I think it's great.
So Payback is Sunday. airing on the WWE Network. We will have a recap of Payback on the Law at 11 Eastern. Immediately afterwards, you can listen at liveaudiowrestling.com. And Wednesday, we are back on Review Away, chatting about what, Mr. Ting?
Backlash 2001. Of course, this is the pay-per-view right after WrestleMania 17, which many people consider the best pay-per-view of all time. So you'll see a heel Steve Austin teaming up with Triple H against the Brothers of Destruction.
Yes, and a power struggle between Shane McMahon and Stephanie, with Vince siding with Stephanie.
And a big drop from Shane McMahon. Big stunt from Shane McMahon.
Yes, another stunt from Shane McMahon. In Chicago, no less, at the same Allstate Arena where Payback is this Sunday. So that's going to wrap it up for Review of Raw. He is Wei Ting. I'm John Pollock, and we'll speak with you next time on Review of Raw.